Hello, I'm Cheryl Lyon from the Upper Sandusky Community Library. Thank you for joining me for the Christmas cookbook discussion group. I have brought my two little helpers along today, my M&M little characters. I use those in a lot of different Christmas baking. I went through lots and lots of recipes to decide which ones I thought was the best and easiest for you to do. I've been making the Bonbon cookies, which I'll do first. I've been making those for like 45 years. Second, we're going to do chocolate marshmallow fudgies. It's kind of a cross between candy and actual fudge, which is candy. So we'll start with the bonbons. Now, if you look at your recipe, we're using a half a cup of real butter. I've had this sitting out for several hours because butter needs to be soft. Otherwise, you've got to put it in the microwave to soften it, and sometimes it works better than others. So we're going to cream our half a cup of butter, and we're going to add our 1.5 cups of flour and our 3/4 cup of powdered sugar. Now, in making the bonbons, that we'll start with the wooden spoon, but using your hand will make them nice and creamy and to mold around your different candies. I've already added, of course, the softened butter. I use the real butter, obviously, powdered sugar, and here is my 1.5 cups of flour. And as you will see, as I start working with this, the spoon will not exactly do what you think it will do. So we're going to go ahead. I did glove my hand, and we're going to mix this all together. You can add food coloring if you don't want them white, but I add food coloring to the actual frosting. Now, when you make these, I have made these for so many years that I change around the different candies that I make. Today we're going to use Hershey Kisses. We're going to use chocolate chips and mint chips. Most of the time I use the maraschino cherries, but we're not going to use those today. Any kind of leftover candy you have, Rolos, say any kind of peanut butter Reese's or anything, you could also use those. So you can see it's still a little bit crumbly. You'll notice that your recipe will say if it's too dry, you can add 1 to 2 teaspoons or tablespoons of cream. And what I brought was regular milk. We're going to use just a little at a time, so it'll be a little moister. Now, the one thing you got to be careful, you don't want to add too much, or when you put your dough around your candy, it's going to be too sticky. Then they won't turn out in the oven as nice either. It's still just a little bit dry. And I use the 1% milk in these, even though you can pretty much use whatever you want. We also have to add our vanilla, which is right here. So we're going to add a tablespoon of the vanilla. Now, I read something interesting the other day, because I've always used real vanilla, about if you don't want to spend the extra. This is in Cook's Country. It actually said that you don't have to buy the expensive kind because it will actually cook out or bake out of your product. I'm still going to use real vanilla because I absolutely love the flavor of it. But if you don't want to spend 4 times what it costs, you could use the imitation also. I've been baking Christmas cookies now for about the last 3 or 4 weeks because I make a lot to give out on trays. So most of them are freezable, but never put sugar cookies with a chocolate cookie and vice versa. Always make sure that you keep flavors separate. Otherwise, you're going to be having a problem with them all tasting about the same. Now, if you can see here, the dough is just perfect. I added probably a tablespoon of milk. Okay, so I brought along with me my kisses that I've already unwrapped, my mint chocolate chips, which I made in some cookies at home, and just plain semi-sweet chocolate chips. So what we're going to do is use just a little bit of dough here. Okay, and we're going to add a Hershey Kiss in the middle. And the nice thing about these are people aren't going to know what's in the middle because we're going to bake them for 8 to 10 minutes or until lightly brown. I'll show you what the final product is. But make them into a nice circle. These will go on the baking sheet. So I'll show you how to do a couple different things here. But I'm not going to bake them for you, but I'll show you what I made them last week at home. So you get the dough, put it in a nice, just kind of in the palm of your hand. We're going to add just a few of these mint. You could even use Andes mints, which these are actually about the same thing, except they're in a chip form. And we're just going to make sure we get the dough. See how sticky it can get. We're going to make sure it goes around the whole chips. Make it, whoops, and then make it into a round. This is a little larger than usually I make, but I got a few more chips than I wanted to. So I'm gonna do that. So there's two, and I'll show you one more, and that will be the chocolate chips. And this is from my Betty Crocker cookbook way back in the 70s. Okay, so we're gonna put just a few chips in the middle. We're gonna wrap and just put the dough around it. And when you've made these as many times as I've made them, you'll realize how much milk if you need to get that in there. So we have one of each of these, and then we'll bake these for 8 to 10 minutes. They'll be just lightly brown on the bottom, lightly brown on the top. And I'll show you the final product, which this is what they look like. But now you can actually put coloring in the dough, but I don't do it that way. So what I did is I have some green frosting here. And if it's the right consistency, you can actually dip it. But I'm just going to show you how I do it at home. So we're going to put just a little bit of green frosting just on the top only. I have used pink frosting. I've used white frosting. You can use blue with blue sprinkles. I get all of my sprinkles at the bulk food store. So there's one more. And this is what they actually look like. It's just, in fact, this is one that has cherries in it. It even went a little bit, I didn't get completely surrounded by the cherry. Those are actually my favorite ones to make, but you gotta make sure you drain your cherries. So there's 3 like that, and then I brought my Christmas sprinkles to put on top. These freeze very, very well. So that's what the Bonbon cookies look like when it's completed. We're going to make my chocolate marshmallow fudgies. Now I made these at home the other day, and I made them with the colored marshmallows, so they look a little different than the ones I'm going to make today with the plain marshmallows. But I bought these right off the bat. They are fresh, and that's the way I suggest you use them. The colored ones weren't quite as fresh as I had hoped, so I went ahead and bought the other. But this is what it looks like if you cut them into squares. We are obviously going to use a 8x8 pan to press them in. Now these work up really, really fast. So we're going to spray our pan and have it all ready. Okay, our first step is to microwave your chocolate chips. These are real chocolate chips, 12-ounce package. Chocolate burns really, really easy. So when we put it in the microwave, even if it's going to be 1 minute, we're going to have to keep an eye on it. We don't want it to burn because it really gets to smelling bad. And something else you have to think of is whatever container, cup, or bowl that you use to microwave your chocolate, make sure it's completely dry. No water in it, or what's going to happen is your chocolate's going to seize up, and then it will not work for your marshmallow fudgies or any other kind of chocolate candy you might make. So this is in the microwave. So I hope you will go through your cookie and candy recipes and make some different things this year, but I hope you will try these. It's been kind of a trying year, so maybe people would really appreciate having something homemade. So we will stir these just a little bit. I did put it on high. You just have to be really careful not to burn your chocolate. And then we will be adding 1 cup of quick oats, which I also buy at the bulk food store because they cost a lot less. You buy the big bags, they're only like 49 cents a pound. We'll be using sweetened condensed milk, which is not evaporated milk. It is actually the sweetened condensed milk. Make sure you know the difference. Okay, it's about half melted. We're going to have about another minute and it should be good. And these, you could also, if you wanted to, add the decorations on top, but I think they look nice just kind of the way they are. Other things you can make, of course, like buckeyes. You can make regular fudge with Eagle brand milk with putting nuts in it. That's really easy to do. There are harder recipes, and then there are simpler ones. I really enjoy making also the cut out sugar cookies, but as we all know, those are more time consuming. As you can see, it's almost melted, but we want just a little bit more. Boy, we can smell the chocolate in there. Depending on your microwave, everyone is a little different, but we got the chips melted just about perfect. And what's going to happen is when we add the sweetened condensed milk, that's a whole can of that. We use a lot of this in candy making. So that will even help. Okay, so we're going to stir that together real well. And I can see the chips have melted just perfect. And then we're going to add our teaspoon of vanilla. And this works up so fast that we are going to do this even a little faster than that. Okay, oops. Let's get our teaspoon here and add that. Even though a lot of times when I bake, I don't even measure vanilla. I know about how much works into it. Okay, now we got the vanilla in here. And we're going to add our 1 cup of oatmeal, which is just the quick. Do not use the rolled oats. They will not work as well. As you can see, it is stiffening up really, really fast. And then we want 1.5 cups of fresh mini marshmallows. And this is the largest measuring cup I have. I hated to put it in a bowl and then get an extra dish. So we're going to mix this up. So it's kind of a mixture between fudge and just plain old good candy. And I always think it's kind of fun too around Christmas time, any of the holidays, to use your Christmas spatulas, your Christmas little guys, anything like this, just to kind of brighten up the holiday that you're making these things for. So as you can see, this is very, very stiff. And basically all we're going to do is put it into our pan here in just a minute. And we're going to need a really stiff spatula. And there's a big difference in spatulas too. Some are easier, some are actually made very well. These are. So they clean up really, really easy. Get all of it off so you can enjoy that. I think it'll be set up probably, I'm guessing, about 15-20 minutes. So all we do is just spread it in there. I don't think you can make anything any simpler than that that tastes as good as these do with lots and lots of chocolate. So that's basically the chocolate marshmallow fudgies. Like I say, you stick them in the refrigerator. They'll be all set up in probably 15 minutes. If you like them chilled, keep them in the fridge to serve. If you like them at room temperature, except in the summertime, we even at room temperature because they're fine this time of the year. So I hope you enjoyed seeing me demonstrate a couple of my favorite candies and cookies for the holidays, and I hope you all have a very nice Christmas and Happy New Year, and I hope to see you in January to see what we're going to be cooking or baking that day. Thank you again for joining us.